Everybody, how you doing? This is Alan, Coach Alan from Vancouver, here with Miss Helen Fong, toned at 50, the one and only. It's her turn today to take the platform and to talk a little bit about herself, as the past few times she's been kind enough to ask about me and my background and the things I think about. And we want to take a little time to dig into her mind as well. So hopefully you get some value out of these conversations that can help self-reflect on you, on what's going on with your life and what's going on with your ability to transform your body, which is why we're bringing on Miss Helen Fong today. So thanks a lot for being here, Helen. Appreciate you.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. And I'm really good because now we get to dig into these questions about your fitness life. And I know there's been a lot of people that have gotten a chance to know you, but sometimes they don't know about your struggles. And today's topic is going to be mostly, well, we'll dabble into other things too, but most of it's going to be about your struggles in your fitness journey, the early day struggles, which is common for a lot of people. So it's stuff that we all go through. And when people look at you, a lot of times they look at you and they think, "Oh, wow, she just had it so easy," or she had it so perfect, or it was just a flawless journey. And a lot of times they don't see the battle scars, the bumps and bruises, and the things that you went through to overcome, that you had to overcome to build the results that you have today. So let's take this way back to the early days when you first started with me, because I was the first person that you came to help your fitness journey kick off. What was it about going to the gym? What was happening in your life around that time that made you say, I want to get into fitness?
Yes, for a few reasons, right? One of them was I wasn't really feeling no longer attractive. I think image to me was very important ever since I was younger. I have to be honest with you. In my teen, I wanted to go out with boys, but I didn't have the look. I didn't have money to buy expensive things, so I still wanted to be attractive. Like a lot of my girlfriends, they're so pretty. They have money to buy clothes, maybe because they work. Then I figure, if I stay, the only thing I can work towards was my body. Okay, I have no money to buy nice clothes. I'll just make sure I stay slim and, the skinny type of girl. And then that's all I could do. And then that's maybe some boys will ask me and that was the only thing I could do. So ever since I really focused on my image, because eventually I met, someone I wanted to marry, and I did. So to me was okay. The look that was the image to me was a package, and because of that, it got me what I wanted. So everything was the package.
Got it. I can relate to that. I know a lot of people, including myself, when we were younger, we didn't get, the good looking person. We were not the popular people in high school. Even for me, I used to get picked on a lot for being dorky and nerdy, and I would eat lunches by myself in my early, like grade 8, grade 9 years, because I was just so nervous and insecure back then. So I get it. And sometimes that becomes the major driver to do something very big for yourself, something we consider big in our life. So when it comes to your fitness, let's fast forward now to 2018 or 17, actually, because you walked into my classroom, my group class, closer towards the end of 2017 for the second time, right? The first time was April of 2017 in one of my other schools. What made you during 2017, during that time, what specifically was happening to you that made you decide fitness should be a bigger priority in your life than before?
As I said earlier, I met my husband almost 30 years ago. Back then, I mean, he must have been attracted to me with my figure, because when I put on nice clothes, he's very happy, right? Of course, I'm sure he liked me something else besides that. And then in 2018, I was no longer that, I feel I was no longer that young woman he used to admire, because when I was looking through, one day looking through a magazine, and I showed him, and he said, "Oh, you're 50 now. She's so young. She's in her 20s. It'll be impossible for you to look like her." That was the moment.
And when, see, if I put somebody else in that situation, some people wouldn't care. For you, that, and rightfully so, respectfully so, it was a moment in your life where it really impacted you. To you personally, if we can get a little deeper on this conversation, because I feel it's important, because I feel a lot of people go through this in some shape or form. What did it mean to you when someone close to you said that you basically can't look as attractive as, quote unquote, this person in the magazine that was in their 20s? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? How did that affect you?
Well, my value is no longer there to me. I mean,
What
maybe I
value
will,
was that?
or my place in his place, my position in his place. I know it's shallow, but when you have people in your life that you find special, and that person no longer see you or perceive you the same, to me, it was important, right? So we do important things to the people who we care most, right? You have your needs, and you treat people differently. So the level for me, I thought my level, 1 out of 10 used to be 10. Now it's like, oh my God, you're only level 5 now. So it for me, it was important. I mean, not the biggest important level, but it means a lot. Everything has been how you perceive each and every one, I guess.
Right. So if that makes a lot of sense, because everybody attaches their identity to something. Like some people, if they're really fit, like if they always have had 8-pack abs, 8 or 6, and all of a sudden they have 2, some people can't live with that. Or some
Yeah.
people are really big on their careers, like they're
Yes.
somebody in their career. And if they lose that career, oh man, they don't know what to do with their life. Or some other people have a successful business, and if it's not successful, like the way COVID-19 is just eradicating a lot of businesses, they
Right.
get lost. So
Right.
I'm saying this not just out of empathy for what you went through, but more so for the people watching. It's important that we all remember that we all are attached to something. And when we lose that something about ourselves, we would be lying to say that it doesn't affect us. Like, even for me being 42, I love the fact that I'm still strong the way I was at 32. Not the strongest, but strong enough for 42 for
Right.
me. If I lose that, I'm not going to feel good. So I can appreciate what you're saying, because to you, in your life, in your mind frame, that's super important, and rightfully so, right? It's something you've had to earn. So when you were in that place of, oh my God, I used to be a 10, and now I feel like I'm a 5. What did that mean to you, to, in your own mind? Not that you actually were, most likely, and that's a total guess, I don't know.
Right.
But usually people make it up in their head first before they actually get the reality of what's really going on. Generally speaking, when you in your mind thought, I'm a 10, or I was a 10, now I'm a 5, what did that mean to you?
Lower the standard.
Right. Which meant what for you ultimately?
um, Not worth
Got it.
it anymore. Like, because when we choose anyone or anything in life, we have a standard for ourselves, for other people too, right?
Right.
So when I choose a spouse, I have my criteria, I have my standard. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't what I thought it was. but we have always have this standard. For me, when I didn't feel like physically good enough, if I didn't feel it, the people around me wouldn't feel it, and I didn't in a way too, because my body was changing. So I feel my standard is lower, and how do I keep it back to maintain? It's just like you live in a place and then there's an expensive level to keep, right? So if you don't have that, you have to keep it up, make you feel, oh my God, you can keep up.
Right, right. So that became your major driver in 2017. And when you came to me and asked for some help, what was the end goal that you were trying to accomplish? I mean, yes, of course, get a nicer body at some level to whatever, however that is you want to describe. And people that have been following you, they know enough about your journey at this point, I would like to believe. But I want to dig into something that maybe people don't know about you, which was what would if you can go back to 2017 when you didn't have this body that you have now earned, what were you thinking back then? What was it going to mean to you when you went through that journey and said, okay, I'm going to get younger, stronger, healthier? What was that going to mean when you had it?
Oh, on the surface, yes, we all want ultimately freedom, and someone needs to love you more, respect. I mean, people go out to make money because they want freedom, not basically money. So I wanted to be leaner, taller, nicer figure, because I want to be loved. I want people to respect me, to give me the attention. That's the ultimate goal.
Right, right. It's really interesting because, again, sometimes people may listen to this and relate and go, yeah, I'm coming from that background. And sometimes people may judge and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. That's not right. I want to say real quick that, again, like what I mentioned earlier, no matter what it is, whether it's beauty, whether it's intelligence, whether it's finance, whether it's fitness, we all have an attachment to something. And I'm really glad that you're being open and honest enough to share this because, there's a lot, I believe, I was going to say women, but I'm wrong. There's women and men that go through a similar experience of this, of feeling like, well, if I don't have this particular image, my self-worth is lower. And that's not for right or wrong. Like, I don't want to be one to judge. I know it's not the most societal positive thing to say because everyone has a group mentality, or a lot of people have a group mentality. But what I find is that at the end of the day, if you can figure out what makes you happy, like just truly happy, then a lot of times that matters more than going after what's popular or what's out in the public. And that's cool. It's cool that you've got the bravery to come out and say, this mattered to me. And no matter what other people thought, because this matters to me, I'm going to go after it. So when you made that decision to come and start training, and then you noticed, okay, training is actually, like anything that's new, harder than what you thought in your head. What were the first challenges that you were experiencing in your early days of training that you had to learn to overcome?
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the end result. So it was impossible. At this age, it was tough to really see in me on. I try to visualize, but it seems like the path is so long, far.
Right. So because what do you think it was about the early stages, during the early stages, that made seeing the path difficult? Like it was so long and far. Like what looking back now, if you can go back into time, what would you have thought differently to make that thought process shorter so you could see the end result in your mind?
I don't remember what I was thinking. I just remember I have to get there. I wanted it. My head was, I want it. I must have it.
So even though your mind was said to you, this path is long and I can't see the end result, I can't see it in my mind, your mind still continued to say, I must have it. Is that
Um,
correct?
yes, because I know that even whether I go on stage or not, I mean, even by just doing the pauses, I will become fitter. It wasn't just the stage. For me, it was, oh, I'm going to look good anyway, one way or the other. So I'll just do it. Because to be able on stage, you have to walk through certain process. You have to go through 3 months or 4 months of training. And then you know that, I know that, okay, I'm going to get fit anyway. It wasn't really their, their, the end goal. So either way, I win for me. That's how I saw myself. I'm going to do it anyway. Look at how much I'll gain. I'm going to get fit. I have to go through that process, right? So the commitment to be on stage was, yes, was a goal, but I know that the process would get me my body to a level that I wasn't happy in.
Right, right,
Yeah.
which makes sense. And the moment that
Mm,
you decide to go up on stage,
yeah.
that changed your training schedule into something a lot more challenging and a lot more rewarding.
Yes.
That was 2019. Let's take a step back to 2018. And I want to go back there because a lot of people watching your show right now are
Mm,
probably in a more similar place where they do want fitness, but they don't necessarily know what for. And they know they want
mm,
to look good, they know they
mm,
want to feel good, but they don't necessarily know why they want to look good and feel good. And that's kind of where you were at 2018 when I first started training with you. You knew
mm,
you wanted to be fitter and younger. You knew you
mm,
wanted parts of your body to look more vibrant and healthy. But there
mm,
wasn't, asides the fact that you wanted to look younger for maybe
mm,
your family or maybe your husband,
mm,
um, there wasn't much more, at least during that time, that was being expressed. And this is
mm,
this is the part that, in my opinion, was your biggest challenge and also your biggest catapult to lead you to that next phase in your life. And if you didn't have that challenge, I don't know if I personally don't know if you would have went to that next level of going on a stage. And that's why I want to share that, because that, I think that's where a lot of people may be at this point, specifically in the area of, okay, 2018, you're training, you're having some challenges with the new training lifestyle, as we all
mm,
would. It's normal. It's part of the game, right?
mhm, mhm.
Can you tell people a little bit about what were your challenges in 2018, physical, emotional, mental, and what did you do to get over them? This is before you started thinking about the stage.
There were a lot. I guess at first I really wanted to prove to my family um, that I am not what they think I was. That was that was one of the main drive. Prove to them I can do it. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'm a competitive person. The more you tell me I can do something, I was like, I'm going to do it just to prove it to you.
Right, right. And what did that mean to you to be able to prove to them that you could do something?
Mm, I'm good enough.
Could you explain that in another way, just for someone who doesn't understand that?
I guess when they say that you can't do something, it makes me feel like I'm not worth as much as what I thought I was, maybe. And the way the position I am in their life means a lot, right? For example, we all think we are important in their life, but then when they think that you are not as worthwhile, or that you're important or your value is not as high, it hurts.
Right, right, absolutely. So because you had that hurt,
Mm,
how did that translate, or how did that impact your decision to continue training despite the fact it was new and uncomfortable and you were experiencing new soreness in your muscles and in your body?
mm,
How did that feeling of emotional pain from, in this case, family,
mm.
translate into fuel for your training?
Well, because the why. I know why I wanted to do it, right? That motivated me. So there was a more deeper purpose. So when
Right.
you have a purpose, a strong desire, hunger behind what you're doing, that really fuel me to keep going. So you always look at, why am I doing? Well, people always say, if you know your why, then it's easier.
Right. Right. So when you're talking about your knowing your why or
Mm,
your reasons for
yeah.
doing it, was it like high level reasons to you, medium, like so, or they're just low? And I am being obvious here, but it's
Mm.
important for you to share.
It's really high because I noticed that when people see you in one area weak, they see you weak in every area in life. So that's very important.
Right. And for you and for your life to
Mm,
have a perception of weakness, what
mm,
would that have meant for you if people perceived you as weak?
mm. They talk to you differently, and your
What do you mean by
idea.
that? What do you mean by they talk to you? Like give us the real deal. You don't have to be so specific, but give us some emotion behind that. What do you mean they talk to you differently?
Well, I guess, I mean, I'll be honest, I was home for so long, for 20 years. They see, I believe people see housewife um, less than people actually go out in the professional world. I mean, I know my intimidate many people here, but in general, that's what society see. People who stay home do not have certain value as the people actually go out there and earn an income. Well, because I didn't as a stay-home mom. I know people are changing, but that's what people see housewife as not as valuable in terms of skills. But honestly, being home, I think we are multi-talent.
Right, right. To be a stay-at-home mom taking care of a household with more than one child is not an easy, it's not an easy task at all. And I,
Right.
I think there's a lot of the people that we follow, a lot of leaders,
Mm-hmm.
thought leaders that we follow who share the same idea where they say parents or moms specifically are
Right.
some of the most underrated high level professionals in our life. Like we're here today because we've all had a mom to a degree or a
Mm,
parent or someone that we've looked up to that's been our guardian. If we didn't have
right.
good guardians, there's usually a point in our life where things just go horribly wrong. And we
Right.
see that a lot, right? Some people
Right.
don't come back from that horrible place, and some
Right.
other people, they have to dig themselves out of it. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that end up having at least one good foundational parent, like a good mom, oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, like for me, I don't even know where I'd be if it wasn't for the foundation of what my mother instilled in me. I'll be thankful to her and my dad till the day I
Right.
die. So I
Right.
feel you. I totally understand what you're trying to say. So if you had that hunger inside of you where you felt like, okay, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I feel like I'm not being given, well, however it is you might want to call it, the gratitude, respect, whatever it is that I'm just throwing words out there, but
Mm.
you know what you felt. How did that translate into your training during the times when you wanted to give up? Now, again, talking about 2018, because that was probably the biggest hurdle that you had to get over, at least in my eyes, until you made the decision of, okay, I'm going on stage and that's it. How did the pain from home translate into helping you overcome stuff around your fitness in 2018?
Um, I don't get what you mean, like a pain. I know
Well,
I wanted
every
to
single time
something.
you were hurting, you could have quit, but you didn't. Every single time
Oh,
you're
I
hanging
see,
onto
I
the
see.
stairs. I mean, there's times you would
Yeah,
come to the
I
gym and you
get.
would say, "I just want to bury you, Alan," because you're just so you're both fired up and angry, but you're also
Ah,
like in a new
okay.
physical pain.
Oh, I
You
got
could
it.
have quit anytime.
Oh, I see. Well, because I imagine myself, the pain of giving up would be more painful if I just keep going. I I
Mm.
know if I don't do it, going back to my old position would be way more painful.
What
Have
does
to
that
deal,
mean?
have to
What
live
does that
with.
mean when you say going back to my old position? Like, give us a picture of what that might look like.
Well, people perceive you differently. and people perceive that you can do many things in life, even though I believe I'm worth more, I'm more capable. But the position I was given in professionally, not as, of course, not like other women who are out there, but being at home, we mentioned earlier, is I believe is multi skill for what we have, right?
Mhm.
And then because they perceive you as not as valuable, not just my family, but other people see you too. People who are working in the working world, right? They see, oh, she's only a stay-home mom. What does she know? I mean, I have experienced or have seen people talk to you differently because you stay-home mom, right? So for me, I didn't want it to feel frustrated. I didn't want to feel not happy. So if I'm not happy, if I have to go back to feel not happy, why not just keep going and see what's next, what I can get out of it? Because you stuck. Like there's nothing worse. You're at the bottom. So how far can you go, right? Maybe that's how I see it. I'm not
Right.
sure if I explained it right. I mean, if you're already in the bottom, how low can you go? There's only
Right.
uphill, right?
I understand. Yeah, understood. 100%. Everybody gets to a point where it's a low point for them. And
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the lowest point in their life per
yeah,
se, but
yeah,
if it feels that way, if the
yeah.
emotion going through us feels like we're at rock bottom, then the only way we've got to go from that stage is up. So
Yes,
I get it. I
yeah,
100% get it.
yeah.
So when it comes to, like, we've talked a lot about you, and you've been so generous to share a lot about yourself with us, and I'm really thankful for that. If you had to boil all of this talk down to one major, call it a rule, a principle, a law, an idea, something that you follow that helps you propel your life in the direction you want to go when things are just really crappy, at least crappy maybe in your mind,
Mm,
what would you teach to somebody who was starting their fitness life?
mm,
They were they're not out of shape, like they're not crazy out of shape, but they're not necessarily in shape. They're in that in between mark, and they
mm,
know they got to get more active, but
mhm,
they're sitting on the fence and they don't really know. They kind of start a little bit, but it's like they'll buy the course, they don't do it. Or they'll take one class and then they'll take a week off. But in their mind,
mhm,
they don't want to do that. That's just a
mhm,
habit. What would you share with that person, knowing the only thing that's really stopping them is uncertainty and fear, and it's
mm.
just something they got to get over? What advice would you give to that person?
Ah, fear, overcoming fear. Let's just say the other side of fear is happiness.
Right.
um, Frustration. If you're not happy, you're stuck here. Wouldn't just jump? Jumping it you wouldn't be here, right? If you're stuck, uh, because of what I've been through, right? And being in a place like you said, you can't go down anymore. Might as well just jump. You never know what's on the other side. If you're
Right.
happy here, it's fine. If you don't, if you're not, just jump. Just push through the fear. Push, push. And you don't, and then you have to have that curious attitude. What's on the other side?
Right. Right. So when you have that curious attitude on the other side, how does that, in your opinion, how does that benefit you to have that curiosity about the other side?
Because it will always be better than the first one because you're not happy there.
Mm,
It's always going to be brighter, no matter
got it.
what, right? Because you're
Got
already
it.
on rock bottom.
Got
You're
it.
already in a position. You're not happy because then when you talk about fear, because you're already here, so just jump anyway. Just do it, and then you're then you at least you move from the position of not in, at least move from that position of fear,
Right.
right?
Right. I agree 100% because when you first started with me, 2017, all you wanted to do was group classes, and that was just a couple times a week.
Mm.
And then you started going more often, taking that baby step. And
Oh.
then you were doing group classes, but you still wanted to level up. So you started doing private classes one-to-one with me at the gym. So then you're doing group classes and one-to-one classes. And every time I noticed, every time that you were taking another step, there was always that little fear. And I think that's just part of being human. That's fine. The good thing about what you did that I think helps a lot of people out there is that you didn't stay stuck. You knew it was scary because you hadn't been there before, but you trusted the process enough to at least try. And yes, there were times where, you would complain. We all complain at something from time to time. The good part is that your actions still kept propelling forward, even if it meant that you took 20 steps forward, but you had to fall back 3, 4, or 5. And you take another 20 steps forward, but then let's say you fall back 1. And then sometimes you're really tired and you got to fall back 10. Like it's one of the famous guys saying is that he's making it really famous right now. This quote that goes, "Don't judge yourself just because you're at halftime and you're losing by 5 points. Don't care about the halftime, care about the end of the game when you're up 47-41. So you can lose a little bit in the middle of the game as long as at the end you win. And we only win by still consistently moving forward, even though we're afraid and we stumble, we make mistakes, but we still keep going. We still keep trying, essentially is what the message that I'm getting from you. And even today, like today, as we record this, it's November 19th, 2020. So this is technically 17, 18, 19, 20. This is technically your 3rd year training with me.
Yes.
Right? Between the vacations going on and off back earlier days, right? In closing off, being now at year number 3, you're actually a full year in your number 3, about to start year 4 training with me and my groups. What advice would you give to women at this stage, knowing that you've tasted the ups and downs, you've tasted the feeling of succeeding in a full body transformation, you've now succeeded to have people look at you, whether it's family or even like circle of friends, see you in a different perspective because you've evolved. You've not just in your fitness, but in your mindset, in your beliefs of getting over problems and challenges. You have a newfound respect both in yourself and with the way you feel people treat you. What advice would you give to women in terms of going for it, even though they're afraid, like you said, knowing that there's a bigger pot of gold at the end of the rainbow per se? What advice would you share with women based on your 3 years of experience?
Be patient and enjoy the process. The process of looking back is what is so exciting is thinking back. You remember the days, hours, the minutes, what I have to go through to get here. A challenge because I didn't know what I was doing. If it's easy, then I would have walked through the whole thing, in the blank, and I wouldn't have all these struggles, the challenge, the process, right? So for any woman, just make a commitment, make a decision, commit to it, and just be patient. Allow yourself to grow from the experience, to learn, because ultimately these are all skills, knowledge that we're gaining each and every day, even when we fall, right? Like I fell many times, and those are the times I figure out more about myself, who I was, how did I get up? So be patient and enjoy the process.
Awesome. Really good talk. Really good advice to share.